May our hearts be open. Ooh, may our hearts be open. Ooh, may our hearts be open. Ooh, may our hearts be open.
Good morning. As we arise, we go to the mirror and we look and we say to ourselves, I greet you, I bless you, I see God in you, I feel the presence of God in you, and I'll allow their presence to work through me as me. Knowing that as I do this and bring that presence to my life, let that presence flow from me, that I touch all around me, all of the situations, all of the people. And it helps me to practice what I know to be true. Because I know that if it is true for me, it can be true for someone else, and it can change the world. I remember my 5 steps, and if there is nothing else that I can do, I raise my hand saying that God is. Knowing that I am, I know, I give thanks, I release, and I let go. And so it is.
Everywhere I look and every face I see is a love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, very grateful. I am grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful. I am grateful for all the love that I have. Every day I wake before I open my eyes, I count my blessings and I realize life is a miracle when I see it that way. I focus on the beauty, that's why I got to say that I am grateful, very grateful. I am grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, very grateful. I am grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, very grateful. I am grateful for all the I feel. I am grateful for the peace that I feel.
Okay, that's good. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream for this Sunday, January the 15th, 2023. Welcome again. Always glad to have you. Thank you for all of the support, all of the ways in which you help us to get this message out through this Heartstream. The support that you provide us, you sharing the message, you liking us on social media, all that you do makes a difference. There are more people that are finding out about us, more people that are reaching out to us. I had a conversation last Sunday after our celebration with a gentleman in Florida who was very much interested and moved by and inspired by what it is that we do at as a part of our Open Heart community. And in this weekend, when we are also remembering the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., let us make his life and the work that he did more than just a speech, but let it be about a real movement for justice, a movement for addressing things that are happening and continue to happen in the world when there's so many divisive ways in which people are trying to do things, to remember that and continue to live it out. One thing that I'm very proud of with Open Heart, that we have always from the very beginning been an inclusive community, and we have, in the face of so many others who were not being inclusive, who were excluding and trying to say who or what it was that people could be or had to be or whatever else to be a part of the community, we were open and we continue to be open. And in fact, our very name, Open Heart, is a description of who it is that we are. Let us continue to do all we can to be witnesses to that life and legacy. Again, thank you for all that you do. And I greet you. I bless you. I see God in you.
Our affirmation for the month of January: divinely free. I am divinely free in 2023. And so it is.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be.
Good morning, Open Heart. Today's affirmative reading comes from Love Yourself First by Mark Ricklaw. Accept yourself as you are. If I did this or that, I'd be a better person. If I didn't do that, I'd be more loved. If I were able of doing this, I would be better off. Stop it already. All those ifs just keep you from feeling good about yourself right here and now and postpone you accepting yourself indefinitely. Even worse, they make you feel as if you were a useless and imperfect human being. What a waste of energy and time. You are already the best person you can be. You don't have to change anything to feel good about yourself. You can do that right here, right now. Just do it. That doesn't mean that you can't improve little things in your life. Continuous improvement and striving for excellence should be your goals, but you are already a perfectly worthy person. Accept yourself as you are and continue evolving, always giving the best you can in every moment. As you evolve, you will do better and better. Today's affirmation is, I accept myself just as I am.
Hey, 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 here come the announcements. We remember the birthday and honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The call that this drum major for justice responded to remains. There is much work to be done in our world today to address inequality, injustice, and white supremacy. And each of you are part of this creative, dedicated minority that continues working to make this world better. Thank you, Dr. King, for your life's work. We know you are now part of that great cloud of witnesses looking to us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day. Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
Playhouse on the Square presents the Scottsboro Boys, a musical that opens this week on January 20th and runs until February 19th. Our own Emma Crystal is the choreographer for this show. Tickets are available at playhouseonthesquare.org. Our daily affirmative prayer call takes place each and every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Dial in as one of our prayer team members shares an inspirational reading and then prays for you, all in about 7 minutes. At Open Heart, we believe in the power of affirmative prayer. We don't beg or plead God to do anything, but we set our intention and recognize God expressing itself in, through, and as each and every person. As such, all of these individuals and families that are represented here, we see them healed, we see them comforted, we see them strengthened, we see them encouraged, we see whatever it is that they have a need for and a desire for, and we hold the space for them, knowing it's already done in the mind of God. And so it is. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am richly blessed, creating a greater and greater and greater flow. We have ways in which you can give and support Open Heart through Cash App. Our cash tag is OHSC901. You can go online to our website, OHSC901.com. Click on the word give and contribute there. or you can text the word give to 615-422-4292. Infinite prosperity is mine to share. I am blessed, blessed, blessed. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you to all of you who have signed up to support us through Amazon Smile. If you haven't done so, you can do so today.
What kept me sad was the story in my head about what I never had and what I never said. But I can sing a song the flowers gave to me. It helps to keep me strong. It helps to keep me free. So when I'm walking with you,
Walking with God.
and when I'm talking with you,
I'm talking with God.
and when I'm praying with you,
I'm praying with God.
if God is all there is,
And everything is God.
or when I'm laughing with you,
I'm laughing with God.
and when I'm singing with you,
I'm singing with God.
in the arms of my friends,
I'm in the arms of God.
if God is all there is,
And everything is God.
There is a road, a journey we must take. It starts from within, it's just a thought away. I can sing a song the Spirit gave to me. It helps keep me strong, it helps me to be free. Now when I'm walking with you,
I'm walking with God.
and when I'm talking with you,
I'm talking with God.
when I'm praying with you,
I'm praying with God.
if God is all there is,
And everything is God.
when I'm laughing with you,
I'm laughing with God.
when I'm singing with you,
I'm singing with God.
in the arms of my friends,
I'm in the arms of God.
if God is all there is,
And everything is God.
if God is all there is,
And everything is God.
if God is all there is.
And everything is God.
Are you a mold breaker? Yes, a mold breaker. In the reminder that I sent out about the celebration and also the notices that I put up in social media about this, I mentioned the fact that there is a familiar scripture that talks about this, and you might not recognize it with the terminology of mold breaker, but you might recognize this. It comes from Romans chapter 12, the second verse. The don't be conformed to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And other translations render it, don't let the world put you in its own mold, but be changed, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I know that around this time of year, I didn't hear it a whole lot this year, but around this time of year is when people will make New Year's resolutions. We'll talk about change and transformation and improvement. And a lot of energy and a lot of effort oftentimes goes into that. And then people often also find themselves not necessarily following through. In fact, for many people, after maybe a couple of weeks, those resolutions or those ideas that they had oftentimes have already gone out the window. But I know that when we seek to change, oftentimes that is to change the outward conditions of our lives. And it is because often we find ourselves being squeezed into some type of mold. We find ourselves being operating in the way that we feel that others want us to operate and be in the way that others want us to be. We might be in a people-pleasing mode. We might be in a fear mode. We might be in a lack and limitation mode. We might be in an anger mode. We might be in a hurt mode. There are so many ways that we can find ourselves oftentimes in. And we seek to change, but it's usually the outward conditions of our lives. But when we try to do so, it's important to recognize that without something happening on the inside, and when we don't have that happen on the inside, all of the things that we seek to do on the outside or from the outside ultimately don't last. They ultimately don't have the kind of effect, the kind of results that we're trying to have happen for us. And when we don't see those things happen, we get frustrated. So I want to talk about that this morning. I want to talk about that because so often we get frustrated because we attempt to maybe break that mold, but then we wonder why we find ourselves back in the same place. And we look at that and we recognize that that new job, that new relationship, that new church, that new city, whatever will be the difference for us this time. And we might get some temporary relief. We might see things happening for us, but nothing has actually transformed. And ultimately, we have to face within ourselves that here in this moment, that it is not the outward conditions that ultimately make the difference, but it's something that has to happen on our inside. Because a lot of times we're looking for ways in which we don't have to change. We just want to see something different. So we change the environment, we change the circumstances. But if we don't change the inside, if we don't change what's happening there, then those things are not going to come for us. And so we think that if we escape certain situations and circumstances, we ultimately, though, have to face ourselves and face what it is that we try to avoid. And so there's the wisdom of no escape that comes forth there. And there'll be other people that will constantly remind us of who it is that we used to be, who it is, what the kinds of efforts that we tried to make when we failed or whatever else. Or we get in our own way. As Iyanla Vanzant says, when you are starting your life over with a new sense of self, who you once were is going to challenge you. Who you once were is going to dangle old carrots, old wounds and issues in front of your face. And when that happens, you will be tempted to revert to the old feelings, the old patterns of thought, the old patterns of behavior. That's right. But this morning, I want to talk about some ways that we can become mold breakers and get out of those things, and we can experience some real transformation. We might get some temporary change, but not real transformation. So first of all, and I'm thankful to the teachers of Michael Bernard Beckwith to remind us, knowing the difference between improvement, change, and transformation. Improvement, that's when we add something positive to our lives. Say that you have issues with your blood pressure or with your weight, and you decide that you're going to add exercise to it, and you're going to change your diet, and things begin to happen for you in that avenue. You're losing weight and your blood pressure gets better. But if you stop exercising, if you go back to those ways of eating that were not helpful and healthy to you and helpful to you, then you'll go back to the previous level. You'll go back to the way things used to be. Or maybe you're a person who has one of those quick tempers, and so you're going to get your temper in check. So you're going to say, before you say anything, before you explode, before you do anything else, you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to count to 10. But what about those times when you forget you're back in the same old place? And that's because improvement is oftentimes motivated from the outside. And then there's change. Change happens when something does indeed shift in our consciousness. Something shifts in our consciousness and we have a corresponding change in behavior. For example, stopping an addiction. And I know that is an issue a lot of people deal with, but addictions can be triggered by so many things, and what once triggered our addictive habit no longer does so because there's been a real change in our lives. We've had a change in consciousness, and because we had that change in consciousness, we are able to move beyond that. Those old patterns might come back, but because we have had that change in consciousness, then things can change and shift for us. But oftentimes when we move out of what helped us to get there, when we go back to those old patterns or we go back to those old places, I know one thing that oftentimes I've had conversations with people about, and when I used to work for an organization that was devoted to helping people with substance abuse, one thing that we knew is that when people went back to their old environment, it became very difficult for them to have sustained change to their addictive behaviors and their addiction problems. And so when we lose the consciousness, when we get back in those old patterns and things, then we find that the change that we were seeking does not last. That's where transformation comes in. Transformation comes when we're in that space of realizing our oneness with all that is. You probably are expecting me to say that because it is true. And it's not just lip service. It's not just talking about I'm one with all that is, but it's mentally knowing and breaking through the illusion of an existence of separateness from the whole. Transformation is a movement away from the limited thought forms into a conscious realization of our limitless nature. It is a full expression of our authentic self. It is about us recognizing and realizing truly, truly, truly that we are one with all that is. It is knowing this and it's operating from this truth. It is seeing that in spite of the things that are trying to shape us into a particular mold, things coming from the outside telling us, or those things that we have internalized, transformation comes when we realize that we are one with all that is and it is expressing through us. So, how do we get there? The power of intention and attention. The power of intention creates. The power of attention maintains our focus on our creative intention. Our intentions form the direction of our intention. Being deliberate and purposeful about what it is that you intend to show up in your life. Being deliberate and purposeful about what you intend to happen. That is not getting up in the morning just letting things happen willy-nilly, but getting up, setting an intention even before you get up, setting an intention the night before as you go to sleep, because your creative consciousness can find a way to begin creating things and making things happen inside of you as you sleep and as you slumber, and things begin to work for you, things begin to benefit you. And then as you have that power of intention in creating, the power of attention maintains your focus. When you can be aware, you have to sometimes bring yourself back to the fact that you've veered away from your intention. It's very easy to get caught up in that. And that's why I talk about the fact that there's so many things that seek to grab our attention. And so you hear me say this all the time. Notice where you consistently place your attention. Where we invest the energy of our attention determines the type of people and places and the conditions we manifest. Look at what shows up in your life and look at those things. And I talk about this, but when we look at the fact, all around us, there are things that are garnering our attention. There are things that are happening that are trying to get us to notice this or notice that and put us in particular frames of mind, particular shapes of mind. I know that I have for a long time avoided spending a whole lot of time watching the news or paying attention to the news, but every now and then when I hear about a story or something happening, I might go to a news website to see what is going on, and I'm just amazed by all of the story after story about crime and corruption and all kinds of other things that are constantly being fed to us, things that are out there. As a matter of fact, we think about even with television and about media and the word programming, how things are being programmed for us to think certain ways. I remember one evening, my wife and I were sitting there, we'd watched a show on television, and after it went off, the news came on, and we remarked almost at the same time, we guessed there was nothing happening in Memphis today because they had to go way outside of Memphis to another state to find a crime story to lead off the news that day. The thing of it is that we have to be deliberate and have to be intentional. I'm amazed at how in our political scene we have, one group on this side and that group on the other side, and how journalists and news programs will spend hours upon hours talking about those disagreements. And if one action happens or one side says something, they'll go and find what the other side says, as if they somehow expect there's going to be some agreement, when we know they're already at the beginning, there's going to be disagreement no matter what who the president is or who particular elected officials are or whatever else. There are going to be other people that are going to disagree, and all of the energy that goes into the disagreement and watching that and hearing that can bring us down. It can lower our vibration. It can lower our energy and take us off of what it is that we wish to have happen. And the way that when we know that that's happening, and when we look at what shows up in our lives, when we are honest with what is taking place in our lives, we then know where our intention and our attention is going. And where our attention goes, energy flows. So we have to understand that. So transformation happens when we take our attention and we align it with our intention. And when they line up, there becomes this powerful vortex of awareness that is generated that keeps us mindful, and we stay in the now. And in the now is our present point of power, where things begin to happen. Things begin to unfold. Things happen for us. And I know I talked about the news just a minute ago. I think about the fact that when we see things happening, that becomes fodder for our prayer life. But ultimately, transformation comes when we have a devotional life, when we have a prayer life, when we have time for meditation, when we have time for seeking positive thoughts and affirmation, when we take the moment and we take the time to pull ourselves away from what is happening and pull ourselves away from all of the things that are trying to mold us this way or that way, and be determined that we're going to be who it is that we are. Be determined that we're going to express spirit and allow spirit to show up in our lives. When we think and when we act from our true nature, then that true nature has no habits. It has no addictions. It has no likes or dislikes. It has nothing except simple, pure being. And we are simple, pure beings expressing the simple, pure being of creation. The energy of God expressing in our lives. We can break the mold. It becomes important for us to understand that. I think about the fact that, again, you're asking, well, how is it that we do that? And I think about how Paul in his writings gave us this contrast between doing things in the flesh and doing things in the spirit. And people get caught up in the idea of the flesh, and they want to talk about how wicked the flesh is, or make it something sexual or something else. But ultimately, what he was talking about in this was the difference between trying to do things ourselves and connecting with spirit, connecting with God to make things happen. You've heard me say this all the time, this story that I remember a long, long time ago about how there had been a storm, and there was a boy who loved to go out in his yard and play. He had a playhouse that was out toward the back of the yard, and one day after a big storm, he got ready to go out and he saw this big tree limb that was in the way, and he couldn't get around it, and he pulled and he tugged and he did all that he could. And then he went back into the house dejected, and his father went to him and he asked him, have you used, are you giving up? And he said, yes. He said, have you used all your strength? The son said, yes, I used, I tried, I pulled, I kicked, I tugged, everything. But have you used all your strength? Yes, I have. And he said again, have you used all your strength? And he said, I have. I don't understand. And finally, the father says to him, you hadn't asked me to help you. You haven't asked your father to help you. When we are looking to transform our lives, when we are looking to have this transformation, then ultimately we come to that spot. We come to that place where we begin seeking the Spirit guiding and directing us. When we know that we may not be able to see the big picture, we may not be able to see beyond just a few steps before us. But if we, and as we're remembering Martin Luther King this week, when we remember, if we just take that one step, we don't have to see the whole staircase, but if we just take that one step, things begin to happen. When we recognize who we are, when we connect with who we are, when we understand who we are, when we do as we talk about the song that we sang today in this celebration, when I'm walking with God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. When we know that, when we live that, when we understand that, when we know the truth of that, things begin to happen. We become mold breakers. I challenge you today to be a mold breaker.
There was a time in my life thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. stars, dear trees, dear sky, dear people, dear everything, dear God. God is inside me and everyone else that was or ever will be. I came into this world with God, and when I finally look inside, I found it. Just as close as my breath is to me. Rising like the sun is the hope that sets us free. Your heartbeat make my heart beat when we share love like a blade of corn, like a honeybee, like a waterfall, all a part of me, like the color purple. Where do it come from? Now my eyes are open. Look what God has done. It takes a grain of love. A grain of love. Mighty tree. Even the smallest fall. Can make a harmony. Like a drop of water. River high. Your miracle. For you and I. Like a blade of corn. Like a honeybee. Like a waterfall. Like a waterfall. All a part of me. Like the color purple. Where do it come from? My eyes are open. Look what God has done. I don't think us feel old at all. I think this the youngest us ever felt.